Good morning to all my coffee beans out there. What's up with you? Hey, have a conversation today. All right. Welcome to Coffee and Conversations with your boy. I'm your host, Tay Biz. And thank you all so much for watching Coffee and Conversation with your boy. We're going to have a nice show today. We're going to talk about a few things. You see the topic. Is it okay for a wife to retire her husband? That's going to be very interesting. And I got a little help with that today. I have one half of Her Village Awaits, the one and only, the beautiful Berica. What up, though?
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm fantastic, man. I'm cool. I can't complain. I can't complain. It's been a long week. Been a rough one.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's one of those weeks, man. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but thank you so much for joining me on the show. This topic, actually, we had a conversation about this
Hmm.
a few days ago, I think,
Yes,
right?
you are.
Yeah, so we're gonna deep dive into it. But before we do that, man, we're gonna um, definitely keep the show rolling. I'm gonna just deep dive right up in it today. I'm not even gonna waste nobody's time. Yeah.
It's like
Look,
that?
it's like that. So
Okay.
I have I've been on this Brett Favre thing. Um, and so it's some more newer questions, new developments going
Mm.
on. Um, they talking about it's not even just the volleyball facility that he was trying to do. He was trying to do like an indoor football arena and all that kind
Mm.
of stuff, and up to $77 million of money being involved. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
this is the poorest state in
Poorest state.
America, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So
Wow.
yeah, man. I'm like, yo, I'm feeling some type of way about that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now Brett Favre, we know he's a Super Bowl champion. We know his accolades and all that kind of stuff. To me, I've never been a Brett Favre fan. Everybody knows me. My favorite quarterback is Peyton Manning, and he gave us, you already know you already know how I'm rolling, right? Don't have that
Hmm.
face. Don't have that face. Don't have that face. You already know how I'm rolling. But um, yeah, man. So more developments, man. So I actually been, watching, like I've been in the YouTube streets, you know what I'm saying, seeing what other people think about it and stuff like that. I have my own views on it as well. But there was a video on ESPN First Take with Stephen A. Smith and Dan
Hmm.
Orlovsky. He used to be a
Hmm.
quarterback for the Lions. Um, and Molly, who's the hostess or the moderator for the show. Um, Stephen A. Smith, normally, he's a very boisterous
Hmm.
voice in sports. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
I mean, Stephen A. go all the way back to Cold Pizza. I don't know if anybody who's a sports show fan or whatever, but Cold Pizza, before First Take became what it is, it was
Hmm.
called Cold Pizza first with
You
Skip
said
Bayless.
cold pizza?
Called Cold Pizza back in the day.
Mm.
Cold Pizza had Skip Bayless on there. It was him and it was another guy. But they kind of fluctuated between moderators on that show. But
Okay.
it was like a debate show, but it was more like how we have our shows, which kick it talk type thing.
Hmm.
Have a subject, talk about it. So Cold Pizza was that type of thing. So what Skip Bayless wanted to do was he wanted to make it a debate show because they had a debate portion of the show, and
Hmm.
that portion of the show was the most watched portion.
Hmm.
So the producers and stuff was like, "Yo, we need to excerpt this and make a
Hmm.
whole show out of it." And
Hmm.
that's how First Take came along, and then Skip Bayless asked Stephen A. Smith to be on First Take with him. So First Take now, of course, it's Stephen A. show now. I mean, he getting paid $10 million a year to do this show.
Wow. Really?
Or more. Oh yeah, yeah. Stephen A.
Okay.
Smith got brain.
I
I
don't
know,
keep
I
up.
know, I got you. No,
Um,
Stephen A. got bread.
okay, so I know of Stephen A. Smith from the Mike Epps jokes.
Oh, okay.
So Mike Epps did a
Yeah,
stand up and he's Stephen A. Smith,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Stephen A. Smith,
yeah,
five
yeah,
head,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah. I
He
remember
washed
that.
his face back here.
Yeah,
Like that's how I know of Stephen A. Smith.
that's funny.
So I don't know if he actually plays sports or not. I just know that he talks about sports,
Oh
and
yeah,
Mike Epps had jokes about him. That's what I
Steve,
know about Stephen A. Smith.
Stephen A. been in the business for over 25 years. He was a writer at first. He was a beat writer,
Ah,
and then he became, he applied for the ESPN job, and
okay.
he became a writer for ESPN. Then he had TV personality. He had some type of he had a little bit of of experience with that, being on the radio and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But I wanted to hear somebody say what everybody is thinking. Is
Hmm.
Brett Favre going to go to jail if he's found guilty?
Right.
You feel me? Because let's be
Right.
real, a lot of people, including me, are like, "Yo, kick him out the Hall of Fame." Period.
Hmm.
His radio show that he's doing, they already told him don't come into work this week.
Hmm.
This week right here that we're just had,
Hmm.
like he has a Sirius XM radio show. They're like, no,
Okay.
and ESPN backs up that show.
Okay.
So ESPN is like, no, we want no deals with you, bro. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Okay.
So, but for those of you that are just tuning in, again, welcome to the Coffee and Conversation. I'm about to say welcome to the Mailroom Show. Dang, look, I love all the
Whoa.
shows that we have.
Subsidiary. Subsidiary.
Yeah, you're right. And so we're talking about the Brett Favre scandal. Some more developments.
Mm.
I just want to share the screen. We're going to dive into it real quick. All right. I want you to hear what Stephen A. Smith said. Hey, they asked him on his take on it, and this was aired about maybe 3 or 4 days ago. So
Okay.
he had a very interesting take, and I wanted to highlight it because I think it's applicable to the way we are now as you know as a country.
Okay.
What's normal is not normal anymore. What's wrong is now right. Everything is all backwards. And somebody
Right.
finally said something that I think makes sense. So I want to highlight it real quick. So watch
I have
this.
a quick question.
Mhm.
When you said Skip
Skip Bayless.
Bayless,
Yeah, he's a sports analyst too.
is that the guy that's on with Shannon Sharp? And Shannon Sharp's
Yeah,
like, no, Skip,
yeah. Skip.
no, Skip.
Here's the thing, Skip.
Oh, that guy. Okay, that guy. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, that's Skip Bayless. That's the one that gave Stephen A. his shot. Real talk.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Stephen
He
A.
was an
Smith.
athlete?
No, Skip Bayless played basketball in high school, and that was it. He was terrible, but he
I
was
was gonna say he doesn't look
no,
like
but
the
he was a
athletic
writer.
type.
Yeah,
Okay.
he loved athletes. I mean, the dude is in great shape too for his age.
Hmm.
He loved athletes, and he was a writer. He
Oh,
he was a
okay.
writer for the NFL first. He's a
Mm,
diehard Dallas Cowboy fan, and
mm,
he was a writer for the Dallas Cowboys, and he was a writer for the NBA and all that kind of stuff too.
mm,
So his main sports that he
mhm,
follows the most is basketball and football, and a little bit of baseball. They cover that too.
mm.
But
Okay.
yeah, so Skip Bayless, and when I say Skip Bayless, I'm talking about he's Shannon Sharp's guy on there.
Okay. Yeah.
So Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith, they was on First Take at first, and then Skip got more money. So
Got it. Got it.
yeah.
Got it.
So this here says Brett Favre's charity, Favre for Hope, donated more than $130,000 to the University of Southern Miss Athletic Foundation from 2018 to 2020, according to tax records obtained by ESPN.
Mhm.
Favre continued to press state officials. Former Governor Phil Bryant, by the way, to be specific, because he's on here too. Um, he pressed state officials to get the funding for the volleyball facility, um, and he was being told by Governor then Phil Bryant that misuse of funds could be illegal, according to the text messages and court filings. So this guy, Phil Bryant, was trying to tell Stephen A. that, and these are text messages. I mean, not
Mm.
Stephen A. Brett Favre. Phil Bryant was trying to tell Brett Favre through text messages that are obtained in court, "Hey man, back up with this whole thing."
Mm. Is this the same Phil Bryant related to Carolyn Bryant?
I'm not sure. All I know is
Carolyn Bryant, the lady that lied on Emmett Till?
mm-mm.
If I'm not
He's a
mistaken,
former governor of
I know.
Mississippi.
The lady that lied on Emmett Till that is still alive, that never got prosecuted,
Well, she never
right?
got arrested or nothing.
She is related to a governor
Well,
of a southern state. That I do know.
we can always Google now. You figure this all right then. Hold on. Her name was Carolyn Bryant.
Carolyn Bryant, the lady that lied on Emmett Till. I don't forget the name of Karens quite often.
Yeah,
Not
but
too fond of them,
uh, okay.
especially when they lead to the death of innocent Black children. But yeah,
It's the nephew.
her nephew.
Yeah,
Boom. Okay, there we go. So we already know what time it is because that's yeah. Okay, cool.
yeah.
Let me know a
That's
whole
her.
lot.
This is her nephew. So good.
Okay,
That's what's up. Hey, shout out to you, brother.
so
That was good.
her nephew and Brett Favre are having this
Well, yeah.
inside
Well, see, what
conversation.
happened is, yeah, I don't even think Brett Favre even knows who he really is for real. For real. I mean, I'm gonna be real with you. Brett Favre was
Hmm.
never sharp. He wasn't a sharp thinking guy like that. But you know what I'm saying? Obviously, look at what he's doing, right? So, but
Right.
this Phil Bryant dude, I think he was a Republican, and he under him became the TANF or whatever,
Mhm.
all that kind of stuff. And so with that, what basically according to the text messages in the courts, and it goes deep because I saw the ABC News portion of this a couple days ago.
Mhm.
Brett Favre was pressing him so hard and about getting these funds. And then he said, Phil Bryant said, no, that might be against the law, and I'm too old to go to prison. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
That's what he said to him when he was the governor at the time. So but now what's being said is that um, they're saying that Phil Bryant is not in any trouble as of yet. Neither is Brett Favre, actually. Brett Favre is just all of these are allegations.
Mhm.
And he playing dumb like he don't know where the money coming from and all that kind of stuff. He
Mm.
didn't know that it was coming from the TANF. Like, really? Okay.
Mhm.
Let's say for instance that's true. Let's say for instance he don't know um,
Mm.
where the money is coming from, for instance. Because I talked about it last week. I was like, yo, anybody who give me some money, I know where it came from. I mean, that's
Mhm.
just unless you just take it like some imaginary fairy money. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Right.
coming from somewhere.
Exactly.
You don't just pop up with $5 million in your account
Right.
and you don't know where it came from.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's going to your donate. It's going to your charity
Right.
or it's going to whatever project you got going on. Because he had more than that project. He had the
Mhm.
arena he was trying to do, football arena. He was trying to get
Mhm.
something done with that. He was trying to get that in the making. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm.
that was another conversation that came up. So he had
Mm.
many projects, a lot that he was doing, but but his main ones was the doing speeches. He was doing speeches
Mhm.
all over the state, all over wherever, all over for his charity and
Mhm.
for the state of Mississippi and all that kind of stuff. He was getting they was paying him like one point something $1 million to him for him to give speeches.
Hmm.
He paid it back with interest
Mm.
because he realized that it was coming from somewhere else. And then
Mm.
all this other money that he was pressing the governor about, he didn't know where that was coming from. I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
okay. Now the text messages are being revealed in court, and now what he's saying is not true. So,
Mm.
so I wanted to do this take with Stephen A. Smith, his opinion about it, and
Mhm.
it's gonna be a little lengthy. It's gonna be like maybe 3.5, 4 minute
Okay.
take that he did, soliloquy that he that he did, and I thought it was on point, and he kept it as professional as possible. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Um, and I think he did a good job with his take. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this real quick.
Okay.
Their funds. Okay. A lot to unpack here. Stephen A., how do you feel about the Brett Favre situation now?
It smells and it looks very, very bad for Brett Favre. The fact of the matter is that you have a former governor, a now former governor, who was telling him that what we're doing here may be illegal. And according to the allegations, Favre pushed forward anyway. You're talking about in excess of $5 million. And I want to make sure I read this correctly. All right. Uh, Favre was also involved in diverting at least $5 million in welfare funds. Welfare funds. When you talk about serving disenfranchised, disadvantaged and disenfranchised communities, what the hell are you doing being involved in something that involves you diverting funds, welfare funds? That is just awful. There is no way around this. And so he's not doing his radio show. He's not talking right now. You call it what it is. He's hiding. And it's probably wise on the advice of his lawyers or what have you. But what can he say? Because the fact of the matter is either there was a dereliction of duty that you were exercising, and you weren't doing the things that you were supposed to do, or you were completely ignorant and oblivious to what was transpiring. And nobody's going to believe that, because again, you were pushing for something that would benefit your daughter, because she was on the volleyball team at that time and you wanted this volleyball stadium and all of this other stuff. And so it's something that we have to talk about. It's something that shouldn't be avoided, especially when we just finished having conversations about consensual relationships that's none of anybody's damn business that was going on in the NBA. Here you got a guy that was obviously a star and a Hall of Famer in the National Football League, and you're involved in some scandal like this. This is very, very bad. He does not get a pass on it. But again, we have to be responsible enough to say that these are allegations. He hasn't been proven to be guilty, but it looks very, very bad for him. And the fact that he's hiding out and he's not available for anybody to scrutinize him publicly about exactly what his actions were, what his intent was, et cetera, makes it look even worse. I was listening to my man Joe Madison on the Black Eagle, Urban View Radio, Sirius XM, Channel 126 this morning for a little bit. And every caller calling up there wanted to talk about Brett Favre and how Brett Favre's name should be removed from the Hall of Fame. I don't know if that's the case, but I know this much. If he is found to be guilty of these allegations that have been levied against him, when you're taking from the poor, the desolate, and the disenfranchised for your own selfish purposes, the hell with the Hall of Fame stuff. He should be in jail if that is found to be true. And I
Yo, Stephen A. Stephen A, bro. Nah, what's your take on that? On what he said?
He could have passed the collection plate, because and he was preaching. I mean, when you think about it, right?
Mhm.
What was that? A couple years ago with the scandal with Felicity Huffman and what's that lady name? Uncle Jesse White from Full House.
Yeah, when they was taking money for the college or something like that.
Yeah.
That college scam, whatever they was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They went to jail, didn't they?
Uh-huh.
Dang. Are they still in jail?
So I mean, granted, it wasn't even 60 days in, you know what I mean?
Okay.
You know what I mean? People do more time for child support. People do more time for, suspended license if you don't have the money. You know what I mean? But nevertheless, they did have to pay a fine. They did have to do something, and then there was some jail time. But nobody's saying anything about this.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing. That's why I like what Stephen A. said, because, there have been. Michael Vick went to jail over dog fighting or whatever. Like, I don't have it on this one. It's on the other show. So, he smashed the glass on that show.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is now. Michael Vick went to jail for like 3 or 4 years or something like that. Got fined and everything for this whole dog scandal stuff, dog situation. Then you have
still talking bad about him.
Yeah. I mean, even to this day, right?
To this day,
and that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
For this man to be considered one of the greats, which I don't agree with. But he considered to be one of the greats as far as quarterbacks in the NFL and all that kind of stuff. And of course, I'm a sports crackhead, so it is what it is. So I follow like all these different. I follow a lot of things when it comes to football because that's my favorite sport. And even like interviewing his teammates hated him. You know, I mean, he has a track record of teammates who cannot stand him. And I'm like, dang, you know, so I'm just putting all these pieces together. And then for him to do this, I had to ask myself, am I really surprised by this? Like, I had to really ask myself, like, am I really shocked to hear that Brett Favre did this? I'm gonna have to say no. But I am, I'm shocked at the fact that it was from the welfare portion. You know what I'm saying? But the actual act of him embezzling anything, money or all that, no, I'm not shocked by that. But the fact that it's the poorest state, and this is the TANF, so it's coming. These funds are given to them by the government for specific reasons. See, other people don't understand how nonprofits and all these 501c3s and all these companies, how these organizations work. And you have to use that money. If the government give you $1 million for a nonprofit organization or whatever, like he said, charity Far for Hope, that's a nonprofit organization. Whoever gives him money, funds him money, whether it be people or a government or grants or whatever, he has to use that money. He has to report what that money was used for. And anything that he gained outside of that money it becomes for profit. And then that money has to be taxed. You feel me? So it's like at the end of the day, the fact that he took that money or diverted, because he didn't necessarily touch it, what he did was he steered it in the right direction where he wanted it to go. I ain't put my hands on it, but hey, that Far for Hope, right? I ain't see nothing. You know what I'm saying? No, he kept it hood. he played gold. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing about it, is like, for me, I think, first of all, I never liked Brett Favre. So him being in this situation, I could care less. Good. They need to expose him. They need to make sure that he's held accountable. Take his butt to jail if he found guilty. I agree with Stephen A. Smith. Take him out the Hall of Fame. He wasn't that great of a quarterback anyway. I don't care. He needs to go. For this, he needs to go. Because if this was anybody else, let's say, for instance, this was remember, there was a black quarterback named Randall Cunningham. Randall Cunningham played for the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's say, for instance, this was Randall Cunningham, who is, I think he's in the Hall of Fame as well. Him or Warren Moon, one of the two. I think he's in the Hall of Fame as well. He was elite. He wasn't like, he's not one of the greats, but he was a top. At one point in his career, he was like a top 3, top 5 quarterback. If it was him, it would this story would be totally different. It would be no allegations. He did it. You did it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's exactly what that would be. And I know that to be true. So the fact that it's Brett Favre, they doing all this digging, the FBI is investigating. Like, for what? You're investigating what? Every paper trail leads back to Brett Favre. Every last one of them. It's like the movie. Remember that movie Get Hard with Kevin Hart and Will Ferrell? Yes. Remember when they was remember they was trying to figure out what the scandal was about, and in the middle was Martin, and then all these other things. He was like, and then my man couldn't understand, Will Ferrell character, he couldn't understand what was going on. And Kevin Hart was like, dude, it's Martin. Everything points back to Martin. Right. Everything is pointing back to Brett Favre. Right. Everything. So it is what it is. Shout out to Sean. Good morning. We just talking a little bit. Yeah. So do you think that there is a when it comes to, especially when it comes to athletes who are like retired, like Brett Favre and things like that, who have made a contribution to sports and all that kind of stuff with their talent? Do you think there's a bias in sports when it comes to these type of things?
Yeah. And especially if you get a celebrity, athlete who's of the right hue, it's definitely some preferential treatment and things that happen. I mean, I know from personal experiences with seeing and hearing things. I remember when we had the Super Bowl, you know what I'm saying, back in the day. And a certain athlete was with a notorious reputation for trying to grab him by the twat, so to speak. Yeah. And he came to the city Super Bowl weekend, participating in said acts. And I can't say, oh, I heard this third person, because I was there. It wasn't to me. It was to someone that I know. And that's a big dude.
Yeah.
And she started putting hands and feet on him. You know what I'm saying? She east side height.
She put foot in him. No.
She's making big wig. She ready. She ready. So yeah. She put hands and feet.
Hands and feet and foot.
Hands and feet. But I had heard, and I'm not even like, into sports, you know what I mean? So it's bad if I hear something about an athlete. I'm not even into sports. But I heard about the guy. And then lo and behold, he comes Super Bowl, week, and then he does the very thing that he's been accused of multiple times. I mean, it was the whole situation. And it was really interesting how it never made the news.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that like, how does it's so weird how certain things just go away. It's like vapor. It's like it's there and then it just disappears right in front of your face.
Yeah.
Like, ain't nobody gonna talk about this?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody is still doing.
Yeah.
There's so many people on YouTube that are still doing clips and recordings of this Ime Udoka consensual relationship stuff. Like, I don't care about two adults who decided to have sexual relations with each other consensually. Like, who cares? Like, that is not something that doesn't happen on the workplace. I mean, if anybody out there that's listening to us right now, if you ever worked in the plant or if you ever worked in a call center, put a 1 in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat or the comments if you ever worked at a call center. Or hey, I'm about to put a 1 for the Mailroom Network.
Yeah, I worked at General Motors for 5 years. And I was the only female and one of 4 minorities on the design team. It goes down at the plant.
Listen, it goes down.
Jerry curl, shower cap and all.
Yep. Even look, when I worked at OnStar and I was in the tech department for OnStar. I'm telling you, man, look, so I had reached a certain level, desktop support level, right? So I didn't have to take any phone calls anymore. I was doing the ticketing system. So we all had our own different, things we took care of. Some people took care of the Wi-Fi in the cars. Some people took care of the mobile apps and stuff. And I did I was a mobile app specialist, right? So I was the guy that knew all the codes. If your key fob is not working or if your phone is not working to start your car, I had the codes. I knew why. I'm telling you, I'm gonna be real with you. I'm just gonna keep it a buck. Oh, Sean said she worked at he said, yeah, she's done 25 years at Ford. Okay, so you already know how it goes. I'm telling you, women do inappropriate stuff all the time at the workplace. We just need to keep it real. You know how many times? Okay, I'm bald headed. All right, I can't wear no hat in there. You know how many times women walk past me, just rub my head, rub my shoulder, like I'm working and stuff, and they just falling all above me. They all hugged up on me at the job. Nobody said nothing. Nobody said, "Yo, that's inappropriate. Don't do that." You know what they're doing? They laughing. They're doing it too. Supervisors and all. It's like everybody, but it's only when it gets to a certain point where it becomes serious. Like this whole relationship with this dude. So then this consensual scandal or whatever, and I mean it's so egregious how they reported it. It's not even a story. It's just something to talk about. But then you got stuff like this. But this is a real story. You can make a movie out of something like this. Like if Brett Favre is found guilty for all of these allegations, because that's straight up embezzlement. Just call a spade, right? If you embezzled money from a welfare fund that belongs to the poorest state in the country, and this money goes to a portion of those monies are diverted to your charity, all that kind of stuff, then this would be like the rise and fall of an athlete, and not just any athlete, a well-known athlete that's obviously connected. That is more important than two people who wanted to get busy on the copy machine at the job. Like, you know, I don't care. Like, if that's what y'all wanted to do, that's what y'all wanted to do. And y'all they could have settled that amongst themselves. For them to go a full report on this consensual relationship thing, to me, it's like, it's not a real story yet. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's just something to talk about. It's something you can pick, you can dissect it a little bit the way you want. But is it affecting anybody else? No. This is affecting everybody in Mississippi. This is affecting families and everybody. So,
you know, it's really got me thinking that you said that too. I mean, because when you think about the situation, how you say his name? Ime Udoka?
Ime Udoka. I call him I'm Roku.
I am Roku.
I am Roku.
Goodness. So there's a better interest in running the story about him, right? So often, you know how it is in media, right?
Yeah.
There's the diversions, right? So let's keep people off of the trail. So let's have your attention focused over here. And we'll just keep running these stories, make it far more salacious. It's like you keep hearing people teeter-totter around the real issue. Because if it's a super serious thing, and if this man quote unquote violated this woman, say that. Lead with that. Have him arrested if that's the situation. But it led with, this is consensual. I guess the issue is, who this woman is or who she's married to.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that's a whole nother thing, right? When you think about it, it's really a way of trying to, I guess, humiliate him.
Yeah.
It comes back to, I mean, and this stuff has been taught for years, right? When you think about and I mean, it is what it is, right? The white supremacist rhetoric that was even taught in the church years ago, right? You had the Catholic Church was behind a lot of things. They predicated a lot of foolishness from lying and omitting scripture, changing scripture to validate the enslavement of Black and brown bodies. And also people making their own sects out of that. And those same people trying to justify their hatred for others and saying that people that were white are supposed to lead society because that's what God ordained them to do. And it fits that type of rhetoric when, you got this big Black guy. First thing I want to do is make him seem like he's threatening. To me personally, nothing looks threatening about the guy, Ime Udoka. He doesn't look threatening to me. But you know how often Black men are seen as bigger than what they are, even down to Tamir Rice being a child.
Yeah. I mean,
right. So that type of idea, and then you're sleeping with his wife. So that's a whole nother issue. How many times have we seen it down to Emmett Till, like I said before? And how dare you possibly could have potentially flirted with, whistled at one of our women. This is a violation. You violated me. You violated something I own. I own her, and you violated me in that way. And this guy, Ime, you smashed. So this, you know what I'm saying?
And this is the thing too about
Emmett Till died for a lie about a whistle. This dude smashed. In addition to the fact, you're gonna be the dude the Black guy we put on payroll, and then you gonna tap my wife. So understand the vetted interest as to why they would mad at him at this moment. They feel like I I didn't have to give you this job. No matter how much talent this man has, right? No matter how much of a skill he has, it's my understanding that him being a great coach and helping them to achieve some different things in this past season. So it's not like you quote unquote gave him a job. He's actually good at what he does.
Yeah.
But how often do we see where there's situations where there's Black and brown people who are often overqualified for their job, will help to get people to where they need to be. And as soon as they get to where they want, then they want to let you go to the wayside so they can come and hire somebody else that looks like them. And they can take the credit for it and act like it was their skill set all along. I mean, we see this all the time, right? So that, and you smash and do a wife. So there's a vetted interest as to why they would want to humiliate him. It's beyond just, let me take your money away from you.
Yeah.
I want to hurt you type of thing. I gave you this position. You supposed to buck dance for me and be so glad I put you here. How dare you betray me? Type of attitude. From what Matt Barnes was saying, this kind of stuff happen all the time. What's the big deal, right?
The NBA is a small fraternity, basically. Listen, this guy, I'm Roku. He I'm Roku, right? Was an NBA athlete, right? And he played in the NBA. He wasn't a great offensive player, but he was really known for his defense. He was known for his defense. And anytime they needed to put a body on somebody and square up on defense, they would throw him out there. He used to play for the Spurs and a few other teams. And he became one of the assistant coaches for the San Antonio Spurs. Greg Popovich is the head coach for the San Antonio Spurs. He's been a head coach for them for almost 30 years. Probably got the longest tenure of any head coach that's presently coaching. So his whole coaching style and everything is Greg Popovich. His tutelage, right? And so the first year he becomes the Boston Celtics head coach, I think it's the first year or the second year, he take them to the finals. They went to the finals last year, and they beat them, but he took them to the finals last year. And so he came in just reconstructing the entire culture of the team. But the thing about it is that reporting stories like the one he's doing, like the one he's in, like you said, it's humiliating what they're doing. But see, what happens is it's divisive, right? Because you're seeing a lot of women saying, and some men, oh, he cheating on Nia Long, and he doing this and doing that. Like, first of all, their relationship is trash. They've been engaged ever since I've been divorced. Okay, like, so I don't even want to hear none of this cheating crap. All right, this is just ridiculous. Another device for men and women to go back and forth on something, to disagree with something. Although, meanwhile, you got Brett Favre over here taking money from poor people. You know what I'm saying? Like Stephen A. said, disenfranchised people. And I've been to Mississippi before. I've been there a few times before. Mississippi looks like 1895 down there in some places, and a lot of areas.
Yeah.
I mean, they literally still have cotton fields down there.
Yes.
Like, so I don't understand. I don't care about I'm Roku getting a little booty. I'm Roku wanted to get some booty. Okay, fine. Let I'm Roku get some booty. All I can, but that is not impacting society. That's not impacting a body of people. All it is another device, another tool to get us to go back and forth and be like, wait, the cheating on her and he cheated, that she did this. All of that back and forth thing and all that black and white. It's all it is another tool for us to be disagreeable with each other and for us to talk about something that don't matter. This for our situation matters. And it matters so much to the point where these people who were looking forward to help and funds, they can't get it because now they have to investigate the entire structure of the political structure of Mississippi because they're like, dude, the woman who was over it, she was involved too. So the woman who actually ran the TNF, the former governor, And there were some other athletes and celebrities, like some former wrestlers from the WWF and all that. They were involved. It's a body of people that's involved with this. And the only person that knows a lot of stuff is Brett Favre. And I am totally convinced that Brett Favre did it. It's too much evidence that came out in court. Everything leads back to Brett Favre, just like that movie, like I said, Get Hard, everything back to Martin. Everything leads to Brett Favre. He knew exactly what he was asking for. He knew who he was asking. He knew why he was asking for it. And for him to divert money, which is just another slick little way of saying, I'm just going to redirect it somewhere else. I ain't going to touch it, though. No evidence of me putting my hands on anything. It's just, but you're an accomplice. It doesn't matter. It's just like saying, hey, I just drove the car. I didn't rob the bank. You still a thief.
Yeah.
You're still a thief, because if you don't get caught, that money that the person robbed, he's gonna give it to you and you're gonna use it. You just as a thief as he is or she is. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. Just because you diverted some money, you still guilty, bro. And everything looks like guilty. And if he gets away with this, man, then they need to revamp the justice system down there for sure. That should be whoever's running for governor. That should be the first thing they campaign. That we need to reevaluate our justice system in Mississippi. Ain't no way in the world, according to the court filings, there is no way that Brett Favre is not guilty. Too much evidence, text messages, emails, too much, and witnesses. The lady who was over the TANF, she had her hands in that cookie jar too. And she was, I mean, like 77 million. And he's a part of that embezzlement. So
you remember before when there was a thing on the news about the NBA players? Some of them, I know Shannon Brown was one of them that was listed. A bunch of the guys who I didn't know who they were, but they were all NBA players who were involved in some type of money scheme thing that was going on.
What they was doing was they were it was about insurance policies.
Okay.
And what was going on was that the money that was supposed to go towards the insurance policies, they was using it for themselves. So they was supposed to be getting money specifically for like treatments and stuff like that, you know, because they were going injured and all that kind of stuff, and they was pocketing that money.
Yeah.
It was NBA. It was some NBA players that was doing that. Yeah, I remember that. They was putting that money in their pocket.
Because there was some doctors that got caught up with that too. I remember, because I guess one of the times when it was written up as if the athlete was getting some type of treatment done or something, the person was playing a game.
Yeah.
And I think this athlete he played in Europe or something at some point in time of that season or something. Because the person that they were talking about, that specific person, was supposed to be getting some type of treatment or something in LA, but at the time the person was in Italy. So there was no way that person had like an in-office like visit with this doctor to be able to have like these different procedures and test screenings. And I guess that's how they started to be able to try to connect the dots as to what was really going on. But yeah, I mean, that was blasted all over the news.
Yeah.
And there were penalties and fines for these people.
Yeah,
so like I said before, you know, what's the face of the scam, right? It depends on who's doing it.
Yeah, definitely.
And how they want to pin that story. So yeah, how convenient. Let's go ahead and blast the coach who's cheating with this woman. I mean, granted, you know, he shouldn't be cheating, but that's the issue between him and Nia Long. That's not for public consumption to figure out. That's between their partners for them to worry about. That's not even for the public really to debate on. But this situation with Brett Favre, that's affecting a lot of people in that state, Black, brown, and indifferent in that state, who fall under the poverty line that need those funds. You see the situation with the water going on down there. Those people really need help.
Yeah, and they taking money.
Yeah,
you talk about this story right here. 18 former NBA players indicted for allegedly trying to defraud league's healthcare plan out of millions. The league was giving money. So let's see. 18 former NBA players have been indicted on charges that they allegedly defrauded a healthcare plan of millions of dollars that serve current and former players, according to the indictment unsealed Thursday. Manhattan federal prosecutors allege in the indictment that 18 former NBA players and one of their family members took part in a widespread scheme to defraud the NBA's health plan by submitting nearly $4 million in false and fraudulent claims to be reimbursed for medical and dental services that had not actually been given. The people charged in the indictment received about $2.5 million in fraudulent proceeds, prosecutors said in the indictment. So yeah, they were basically, like you said, what they were doing was basically saying, hey man, I came to the doctor, right? Yeah, here go that money. Now, we're gonna make a claim. We're gonna claim that we're gonna claim that my back hurt, my this, that, everything like that. I'm gonna get this money. And then Sean said she agreed with you on what you said. That's what's up. We're gonna take this money that the league gonna give us with this healthcare plan, and we are going to put it in our pocket. So same thing, different way, but it's the same type of thing. It's still taking. And they were white and black players, you know what I'm saying, that did this too. And again, I think they got fined. I think some of them went to jail or something like that. I think one of them went to jail for a little while. But this is the thing. It's like the stories about, like you said, I agree with you. The whole the Nia Long and I'm Roku, that that relationship is I'm sorry. That relationship is not, to me, is a joke. It's a joke. Like, how you be engaged for 7 years? Like, what you waiting on? What are you talking about? Now, I already got a kid together. Like, it ain't like, they've been engaged since 2015. You know what I'm saying? So, like, at the end of the day, it's unwarranted. You know what I'm saying? Like I agree with Stephen A. before when he said, okay, if you was gonna fire him, then fire him, right? Because he went against the organization policy. See, this is not an NBA thing. This is a Boston Celtics thing. That was their policy not to fraternize on the job, but to keep him, suspend him indefinitely, take half his salary, if that, maybe more, and say, you know what, and you ain't going nowhere. You can't apply for no other job. You can't coach. It's like all because he got some box.
You trying to make him suffer.
It's like, dude, you know what I'm saying? Consensual box. Yeah. Then on top of that, what's even worse is the fact that there were women's names that came up that had nothing to do with this. Everything was speculation. That's why the story is just messy. The Boston Celtics is messy for this. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was other women like, yo, I never even been around this man. I didn't get involved. Yeah. And everybody knew exactly who it was, but because of who it was, ain't nobody say nothing. Then it was allegedly the vice president of basketball operations, his wife. Okay. Okay. We and even that is alleged. Even the actual name that is out, I think her last name is Lynch or something like that. Carol Lynch. That was just recent that the name came out, and they put a face to this, and they that picture showed her, and even that right there, people don't really know if that's true. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's still other people's names that come out. Then it was one story where it was like, okay, so it's consensual. Then it's like, oh, he was making a pass at me. Then there's another one. I was like, now he's a serial cheater, and it's like all kinds of stuff. It's like, it reminds me of Dave Chappelle when he left Comedy Central. It's like, yo, I went to Africa and I came back. I'm a crackhead. I'm this. I'm homeless. I'm all kinds of all kinds of stuff. It's like, dang, all because I went to get $50 million.
Right.
You control me. You know what I'm saying? So this is crazy, man. I feel like he will have a hard time going anywhere else if he want to. Yeah, his career. Absolutely, Sean. His career is definitely at a screeching halt. And um, but what we're gonna do right quick though, because we're gonna deep dive into the meat of the show. So we're gonna take a quick little break. You know how we do. Gonna take a quick little break real quick. I want y'all to watch this trailer of the Mailroom Show because we do have a show tomorrow at 5:30. I want y'all to enjoy this. We'll be right back. We are back. We are back. Make sure y'all tune in tomorrow to the Mailroom Show 5:30. We have a good show tomorrow for you guys. Hey, it's gonna be lit. Look, first of all, episode 10 was classic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hey, we gotta do another one. You know, Her Village Awaits came and took over the show, and they took over. And they celebrated the 10th episode. Because, these small milestones are really meaningful. You know what I'm saying? And when you get to a certain point, you're going to remember these days where it's like, man, we was on this. We was on our cult following small end, and now we growing and stuff, and that's what it's all about. You know what I'm saying? Connecting with people. And so shout out to Her Village Awaits again. And for helping us out with the celebration on episode 10. Appreciate you, B. And Kelly Lee. For sure. All right, so we're gonna deep dive into this topic. Is it okay for a wife to retire her husband? Now, before we get into that, right? Sean said it was fire. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
I saw something. Right, I'm gonna talk about this real quick. This real good 5-10 minutes. I saw something. I want to know if you agree with this. Okay, so I saw this. I saw this right here. Very interesting. All right, dating versus courting. All right, and when I saw this, I was like, man, I wonder if this is true, right? So it says on the dating side, right? Dating is casually getting to know a person or persons you may eventually have a romantic relationship with. Oh, you gotta put the glass. Oh no,
put Dr. Seuss.
Oh no, She said, hold on, let me. She said, wait a minute, let me put my glasses.
You still.
She said, hold on, baby, let me see what's going on here. What is that, dating? And
Not with that small. No, if a font is small, the struggle is real.
Is that curtain or cordon? I don't care. I don't know what's going on. So dating is
so funny.
Dating is casually get to know a person, right? Eventually, you get into a romantic relationship with. But courting is romantically involved with someone with the intention of marrying. Now, again, we live in a very dating society. We don't really live in a courting society. Would you agree with that?
I don't. Truthfully, I don't think we live in a dating society either. It's definitely not courting, as a society. But I think the dating is lacking too. I think we're in a. I'm trying to get the most for the least society. I think we in a. I'm gonna borrow somebody else's Netflix, and we gonna chill society because you ain't even paying for the subscription.
That's not it. So that's not dating, right? That's what
smash and pass.
Smash
It's yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's we live in a pain and problem society. We live in a yeah, carrying cookie society. You know what I'm saying? It's just I have no expectation. I have no requirements. We just getting it in, and then you end up on paternity court. I mean, that's really where we at. Like, you see so many cases where people, when you ask people, like, okay, so what happened? Like, what was going on? There really was no intention of dating. Nothing was intentional. It's just you just out here winging it. And then you wonder why you end up with a mess. You really need to have like some sort of a plan, right?
Yeah.
My dad always said, failure to plan is planning to fail, right? I mean, it to me it was eye-opening. When seeing things as a whole. And this is not, people who are our age as much, but the younger generation. When we were talking about rolling back, Roe versus Wade, that kind of situation.
Yeah, Roe v. Wade.
And I'm in those comment sections because that's where you really get the tea. That's where you really get a good synopsis of what people are thinking. And I was upset as a woman, right? Seeing so many women and they're just making excuses like, well, what are we supposed to do? It's like, girl, what's your plan? You don't have a plan? You don't have a structure? You are relying on a ruling by the Supreme Court to help keep you from having X amount of kids? You don't know what birth control is? You ain't never heard of that. Like, you ain't never heard of condoms? Like,
right.
And I don't want to hear, I don't have no money. It's places that give it away for free. Like the health department, free. Like Planned Parenthood, like free. Like there's places to give it to you for free. Like, I don't understand. Like, you don't see OBGYN? You ain't never talked to your doctor? And like, they told you, like, hey, we got NuvaRings and we got IUDs and we got pills. We got, implants. There's all kind of birth control you can take. It was just a whole, I had never seen people so callous, just completely just absent-minded about their attitude when it comes to like procreating. And it's like, no wonder you had a baby with somebody you knew for 2 days. Because there's no structure, there's no plan, there's no requirements, there's no expectation. You literally out here winging it. And we end up in situations like this. It's insane.
Yeah.
For me, I've always dated intentionally.
Okay. Now, okay. So that's good. Let's go there. Dating intentionally. All right. So
dating, and the man in turn courted me. So
no, hold on, wait a minute. I'm confused. If you dating intentionally, okay, let's keep okay, hold on. Let's put a pin on that real quick because there's more this list right here. I want to get to this real quick. I'm gonna get back to that because like you said, dating intentionally, perfect. And then he's courting. So would you say that the access to the relationship is for men to decide?
Yes.
Okay, good. Bravo. Look at Erica.
Yeah. I mean, we're adults. You can't make a guy date you.
Right. So
he has to want to. You can't make a guy court you. He has to want you. So let me explain my understanding as far as the terms dating and courting, because this board here is new to me.
This is, but you know what? Let's deep dive into it real quick because this is, look, I really can't disagree with this.
No, I don't disagree with it. But as far as like the different little notes under each term, for that part, for me, this is new to me, right? Just growing up, our terminology may have been a little bit different. I told you, I grew up in a very strict religious household. So what dating was for me was not conventional for most people, right? Courting for me was not conventional. So yeah, that's why I say for me, my experience is a little bit different as far as just the exact terminology. If you going strictly by what we have listed here, but under the guise of what we're trying to do, that was pretty much on board with this here. Yeah. When I would say dating, that's from the initial meeting a person.
Right.
Like, hi, how are you? Kind of thing. I never considered it quote unquote courting if I just met the person.
No,
because I had to build up a rapport to even get to that point.
Exactly.
To start referring it to that.
Exactly.
So I would call it dating because I'm still in the get to know you phase. Hi, what's your name? I don't know you from anywhere. Right. And then after, okay, we've had a couple conversations on the phone, haven't gone out anywhere. Then we can move on to that part where, okay, we could say it's courting because then there's a romantic connection there or physical attraction or something.
Right.
But like for me growing up, like I told you, I never went on a solo date. I never did that. Even for the audience here, as people may or may not know, like I'm married to my husband and we've been together now. This is our 8th year. But when I was 20, I got married to my ex-husband. And so that was my first experience to everything. And that experience, especially coming from my parents' household, so coming from a very strict religious background, it was very unconventional. So we couldn't date like in a solo date. Everything we had to do was like in a group setting. So things were it was different than now. And this situation with being with my husband and dating him, and I didn't have the same strict guides of my parents' religion or being at that of such a young age where I was able to truly date my husband, and I'm glad for that experience because at 20 that was a little crazy. You dating somebody in a group versus really getting a chance to really get to know the person you're going out with, but the intention was still the same. The guides were still the same.
Right. So the dating, so that's why what you said was perfect. Dating with intent is different from just dating. Right. So again, and even in dating with intent, to me, this board right here is still kind of is it's still pretty accurate. So let's go to the next one. So dating is casually getting to know somebody that may eventually have a romantic relationship with. May or may not end up in marriage. That's facts. Does not involve parental approval or supervision. So like what you talked about, the solo stuff, the not bringing her home to mama just yet. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm still trying to vet the woman. It says may involve sexual intimacy. That's where it gets tricky. And then can be casual. I'm at the bottom. Can be casual and may not involve any deep emotions. Okay. Now on the courting side, it says courting is romantically involved with someone with the intention of marrying or ends up in marriage, involves parental approval and supervision. So basically, this is my lady. This is who I'm serious about. I'm only serious about her. We're exclusive. I want you to meet my parents. I want you to meet my, Then it says does not involve sexual intimacy. Serious and involves deep emotions. So serious emotions and deep emotions. Now, what you're talking about, like dating with intent and having those emotions and stuff like that, would be in this day courting. Well, it was already courting back then, but a lot of people may not understand the difference because again, when we were 20 and 19, it's totally different now. That was years ago. You know what I'm saying? 20 years ago, something is evolving. And I think the social construct and interaction between men and women has totally changed or evolved. Some has evolved in a way that's beneficial and some not so beneficial. So if we keep it a whole buck, if you're dating someone with intention, then you still can't really have no expectations. You
True.
see what I'm saying? Because it may not end up in the result or the outcome that you may want.
True.
Now, but that's the starting point, like you said.
Mhm.
He was
Mhm.
dating with intent, you know what I'm saying? And my
Mhm.
man was doing the same. And then y'all started courting, like being exclusive, just you and him,
Mhm.
like with your husband. And then
Mhm.
you got married.
Mhm.
Because y'all knew y'all had this serious emotions, serious deep connection.
Mhm.
Y'all knew exactly where y'all was headed.
Mhm.
He was the lead of it.
Mhm.
You was the helpmate of that.
Mhm.
And you're still a helpmate to this day.
Mhm.
And
Amen.
y'all have a full, and you have a full understanding of what the relationship is,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So this is the thing, like when people look at stuff like this, and then we talk, because we're gonna talk about Tabitha Brown
Mhm.
today, and how a wife retires her husband.
Mhm.
See, that sounds crazy to a lot of women, because again, you know, society is lying to us. Okay, they lying to us. They're like, oh, focus on your career, do this or do that. And by the time you 40 and 45, 50 years old, you done focused on your career so much, you realize like, yo, I'm going home alone. And we are not designed to be alone. Um, we're designed for relationship. You know, we're designed for some type of interaction. You know what I'm saying? Um, I find it very uh disingenuous if a person says, like, I could just be alone for the rest of my life. That is like that right there is like, that's coming from a place that is not all the way healed yet.
No, right.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Because even though I'm alone, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm single. I'm not married to no one. I'm single. You know what I'm saying? And I'm alone. But
Mhm.
I'm alone, like, well, of course, I take care of moms and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So she's with me. But I'm alone. I don't have a woman that I can be like, go out. Like right now, I can't just go out of my door and be like, yo, where you at? I'm about to come
Mhm.
get you. I can't do that. Right. So
Mhm.
and a lot of this is by my choice too, because of me. I know that I'm a very, like, I'm always working. I'm always working. So it's like trying to have the time or make the time sometimes, like to do the extracurricular stuff, like you're saying, go out on
Mhm.
a date and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, and then from experience, I mean, I'm getting to a certain level where it's like, I'm just tired of some of this stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, I really don't have any interest in it right now. That's not me saying that I want to be alone forever, though. If I
Mhm.
was to say that, then that's wild,
Mhm.
because that wouldn't be true. I
Mhm.
do want to be with someone. I do want to have a wife again. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I love that lifestyle of marriage. I was able to experience it as a young man. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't even know I was capable of being a husband, you know? And
Mhm.
then I was like, okay, I can do this. I can, wow, this is what's up. Okay. And
Mhm.
that experience in my life taught me a lot of things. So I think that we have, in this day, we have totally gotten away from courting.
Mhm.
Courting is almost like non-existent. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
if a man does not involve sexual intimacy, if you're dealing with a woman and you're not trying to be sexually involved with her, she'll probably think you're gay. Women will say that to their homegirls.
Yeah.
And when
Yeah.
they talk about themselves, I mean, they're like, "Girl, I mean, he
Mhm.
didn't even try to touch me. I mean, I
Mhm.
came in with lingerie on and everything. He didn't even try to. Is
Mhm.
he gay, girl? Like, it's. I mean, like, real talk, right?
Mhm.
And I mean, I'm not knocking the fact that they're probably suggesting or thinking that,
Mhm.
because the reason why is because some women will think of themselves that much that they're so irresistible that if a man resists them, something's wrong with him.
Mhm.
So it's almost like a projection.
Mhm.
It's like something got to be wrong with you because
Yeah.
look at me, and it's like, Yeah, but I have a standard that I'm trying to hold on to,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to be serious about you.
Mhm.
And if you start giving me the milk for free,
Mhm.
then it's not gonna leave room for anything else to grow.
Mhm.
And they like, but I don't care though. Look at me, I'm
Yeah.
gorgeous. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's like how do where do we bridge that particular gap?
Right.
You know what I'm saying, between dating and courting? What
Mhm.
level of understanding here? And so that way we can get to a level like this. This lady said, "Hey, I'm retiring my husband," right? And
Mhm.
so what does that look like for some people? Who knows? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah. Okay. When you're first talking about what the whole thing about people courting and even down to people choosing not to have sex while in that state of the relationship,
Mhm.
I agree, and I've seen it on both sides. I've been in a situation with a guy where, and shout out to him, my platform with Kelly. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
My Trinidadian homie.
Mhm.
And because we're gonna talk about that on her Village Ways podcast. That will be on a future episode. We'll be talking about church hurt.
Okay.
And so we'll be able to deep dive in some of the things as far as with ladies and things that we experience too in dating. So that'll be in some episodes. And I think I'm gonna end up bringing my husband. I'm gonna bring the mister on one of these little episodes, just so I can, give things from a guy's perspective as
Mhm.
to how things worked for us, because our situation was very unconventional.
Yeah.
Some
It
things
is.
were traditional, and some other
No,
things
you are not.
with
No,
us was
no, you
totally unconventional. But I
yeah,
think it's a
totally.
safe space for that, for people to really hear that
Yeah.
testimony, because I
Mhm.
think it can resonate with some other people, right? But I mean, yeah, that part is true. I mean, I've gone on date. I went on a date with a guy before. I remember my parents allowed me to date at 17.
Okay.
And so I went out on a date with a guy who was the guy was supposed to be very religious. At least that's what he led by. That was his title. Found out that he was not. And subsequently, I ended up fighting this dude
Hmm.
because he was trying to take the cookie
Oh.
when I was trying to court, and he told me over the phone, and had told my parents that he was trying to court me. And then
Oh.
I found out when I got along with him, he was on something totally different.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, I mean, I've seen it in both aspects,
Yeah.
and yeah, I got called everything but the child of God because I wouldn't give up the cookies. It's
Mhm.
like, this is weird. This is very weird. So, I mean, it's on both sides. So you see strange
Yeah.
things happen.
Mhm.
Um, I know, like, the situation with Tabitha Brown, I appreciated her saying that, because you see different dynamics for different people.
Mhm.
I think often people expect to have a cookie cutter type of setting, like it's a literal template for people to go by step in what's supposed to work for their relationship, when that's not life, right?
Mhm.
There's black and white, and there's also those shades of gray. And so for some people, that one thing may work for you that may not work for someone else, right?
Yeah.
I know, like, my parents met. uh my dad went to take her on a date. He met my grandparents,
Mhm.
told my grandparents he was going to marry my mother. So he knew my mother for about 2 weeks at this time.
Mhm.
I think he had seen her maybe 2 or 3 times. So
Mhm.
they weren't intimate. They were always out in a group setting. And he told my mother he was going to marry her. And I think my dad was either 19 or 20. So he was young. But my
Mhm.
dad is an old soul,
Mhm.
far like ahead of his time. That's just his personality. So my mother laughed, like she thought like he was a joke, like, in no way, like, I just met this man 2 weeks ago and he's telling my parents he's gonna marry me. Like, okay, yeah, whatever.
Mhm.
My mom thought he was just kind of like gassing her head up type of thing. And he wasn't. He was dead serious. My grandmother was like, no, you better get ready. And within 6 months, my parents were married. And that was 48 years ago. I mean, it happens. There are people who date intentionally, who court intentionally. I did the same thing with my husband.
Mhm.
I'm the first date girl.
Mhm.
That is my thing. First
Mhm.
date, I'm going through all the hard questions. I've heard so many people say you shouldn't ask that on the first date. Why not? Why not? That way I don't waste my time and you don't waste yours either.
Give me an example. What do you mean?
So on a first date,
what's the question you would ask on the first date?
First date, do you have any kids? Do you want children?
Why would you ask me?
Because for me, that's a deal breaker.
On a first date, you would ask
first
me.
date. Oh, I'm not playing. The food not even at the table.
Okay.
We at the restaurant, the food has not arrived. We got water.
Hold on
do you have children? Do you want children? If there is a delay on the no as to wanting children, check please. I'm out of here.
Okay.
Please and thanks.
Okay. So on a first date, because we had this discussion on our show last week. When I said on the first date, if I see a woman being rude, I'm taking her back to the crib. Everybody was like, I mean, you got to give her a chance.
No, I didn't have a problem with it. I thought it was funny.
I know. I'm just saying. I'm talking about from Kelly, from the chat, from everything. When I said that, everybody in the chat was like, I don't agree. I don't think that. Yeah, girl. You gotta give him a chance. You gotta be patient. So your equivalence. So that's what I'm talking about. So your equivalence to if you hesitate on the no for the children thing, and then me saying that if a woman is rude, then it's a wrap. Check, please.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with what you said.
I know you didn't. You didn't. What I'm saying is, I know you didn't. I'm talking about. But we're talking to an audience of people. Most of those people were women.
Yeah.
So when I'm speaking, I'm not just speaking about us. You know, we know what our standards are. What I'm saying is that when we have discussions like this, and we tell certain women certain things like, don't ask a man for money, or if a man sees that you're not operating your femininity, he has the right to move on. There's always a problem with that. There's always a problem with that. When a man says what he prefers, there's always a problem with it. And most of the time, the men's purposes is not as shallow as most of the women. See, again, you're an anomaly. So I'm not referring to you. You are an anomaly. You know that. I've been calling you that for a long time. So this is the thing. Majority of the women now, see, this is what men are going through now. So you're married, you good, you straight, got a great husband. Dude is awesome. So you're good. See, there's another world out here though that is not that good, and majority of the women speak a certain way. There's certain languages that they all have gathered together and they start just, mimicking, I guess. And some of those things are similar to what we talked about on the show. And if on a first date, if I see any type of rudeness especially to a waitress or whatever the case may be, that's a red flag for you. If on the first date, if you was dating and you said, hey man, like, do you have any children? Do you want children? And he like, you'd be like, oh no. See, that's your standard. And my thing, right, deuces, right? And my thing is this, I'm cool with that. I tell people all the time, whatever you decide and want, I'm cool with. Just make sure that you are ready for the consequences that come what you want. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Don't try to blame nobody. Don't try to project your trauma on people. No. See, that's different. Like you're saying something that's a standard related. You wanting children. You know what I'm saying? That's a standard related thing. You're a woman. If you want children and you like, okay, I want a man that wants children. A man that wants a family. A man, how you feel about marriage? How you feel about whatever. What other questions you have, right? Like if that's how you want to rock and roll, that should be okay. And if anybody have a problem with that, then that's your problem, not her. You know what I'm saying? I don't have no problem with that. That's what I'm saying. So, but when I said something about a woman being rude, and I'm like, it's a wrap. I'm telling you, the chat went nuts for a second because the man is supposed to be patient with that woman. You're supposed to lead her to her femininity. You're supposed to say, man, and that's what I'm saying. That's what's being perpetuated. Yeah, it's like it's this little sister code out here, and it's like everybody is just enabling each other to be the same. And it's like, no, if you want different, you got to do different. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Absolutely. So if you if we had a first date, for instance, right, for example, and you came at me like that, first of all, I'd be like, dang, she hit me with the hard joints. And I'm like, I mean, I wouldn't even be tripping though. I wouldn't even be tripping like that. You know what I'm saying? Because I've had conversations with women like that before. They'd be like, hey, Tay, do you want kids? Do you still want kids? You know, I know we went through this and went through that, but you still want kids? And I'd be like, yeah. I'm like, and then I'd be like, you know, I'm at peace though. If God don't allow that, I'm at peace with God. You know what I'm saying? But my desire as a man, yeah, I do. Yeah, I would like to have a son or a daughter. Yeah. You know, someone that I could pass on wisdom, legacy to, keep the name going. You know what I'm saying? Because that's where my head is at with that. It would be a whole purpose behind it. It ain't just like, oh, I want somebody to love me, so I want to have a baby. Like, no, I'm not doing it for that. You know what I'm saying? There's a specific purpose why I want to have a child. So it's like when a woman is able to say what she wants, no one cares. Everybody like, okay, cool. But as soon as a man say what he wants, I'm telling you, it becomes that way. And I think that and again, I don't think women mean no harm by doing that. I do see what it is. I'm looking at it for what it is, though. It's like, okay, why can't we bridge the gap between that dating and courting thing? If we're dating with intent, like you say you are, like you did, then that means that those kind of questions are warranted because of the position that you're in and the way you want to date. If you're just dating casually just to do your thing, you ain't even gonna care about kids.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing, is like sometimes I see women arguing with other women about standards.
I've gotten all kind of heat from women for that. Not even men.
Yeah.
The only time I've ever seen men say, "Why would you ask a dude that on the first date?" And he mad. Cause you the type of dude where you gonna lie and say whatever you need to say to get the cat. That's your goal. So yeah, you're the type to try to string somebody along so you can get what you want, get the bread, get the head, leave. Right? That's your motto. So that's why you're gonna do that. But yeah, I've gotten a lot of flack from women. Why would you say that? You can't ask a guy that on the first date. That's too. Oh my goodness, that's too deep. Why not? I don't go on dates for free meals. So let that first of all, let's make that clear. I can pay for my own food. So I'm not going on a date for a free meal. And that's a whole other thing too. On the first date, I do not let a guy pay for me. Either I pick up the tab or we going Dutch. Because I want to make sure it's very clear that my intentions are genuine. I am not here for any other reason other than trying to get to know you.
Yeah.
And seeing if what you got going on and what I got going on, if that meshes well together. If your value system and my value system meshes well, if it aligns. And can we work the rest of the other things out? So that's why I get to the hard questions first. I'm not even waiting for them to ask me, would you like super salad? No. Do you want kids? Now understand, I'm realistic, right?
Yeah.
Where I've dated men that have children. I understand a man having the desire to have children or want to have children. I get that. But I understand my purpose as well, right? My desires as well. So I am realistic with the expectation. So, I would jokingly, say, I got the Obamacare of children, policies. You know what I'm saying? I take the pre-existing. So if you already got kids and they're above the age of 5, welcome. It's all good. I'd be a great stepmama. I love the kids. I'm just not trying to birth them. That's my thing. In addition to the fact I wouldn't want to be with a guy who got a whole bunch of kids and a whole bunch of baby mamas, because that's just too much drama. I ain't got time for all that. But for me, I just didn't want to have children. Since I was a child, I knew that there was a calling on my life. And we talked about this, in detail last night, right? When God tell you to move, you a fool if you don't move. So my whole life, I knew I did not want children. I have never changed my outlook and my stance on that. Now, I have fostered children, and I just had my 5th godchild. My oldest godbaby is 23, and the youngest one is 1 month old. So my life is full. My heart is full. I am fulfilled. I'm going to go see my youngest guy maybe next month because he's in Georgia. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to baby Malachi. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to baby Malachi.
I'm full. I don't feel the need to do that. Now, for women, if you want to have children and that's your goal, why would you be dating a guy that you know doesn't want children? There are men who will say all the time they don't want kids. They are very vocal about it. And I have seen women say, oh man, but this guy is such a great guy. But he says he doesn't want kids. I'm like, but you want kids. Yeah, but I mean, I think if I don't say nothing, you know, we just kind of stick together, he'll come around. See, that's the kind of game I don't like playing. I'm not in the business of convincing and changing nobody's mind. Either you gonna rock with me and I'm rocking with you, or you not.
Right.
And that's just how I looked at things, right? So, you know, like I said, when I got with my husband, first date, hey, look, you want kids or no? It's real simple. No. And the next question was, do you believe in the structure of traditional marriage? Not this polyamory and all this other stuff, traditional marriage with monogamy and everything else. If there's a pause on that, I'm gonna go ask for the check. Now, my husband was like, when I very first, initially met my husband years before we ever started dating, he was conflicted on the thought of marriage. So I did not date him then. It was that simple. So we revisited that topic again years later, actually went on a date. And I asked him, I said, okay, I remember, you know, I asked you this before and you were kind of, you know, iffy on the topic. How do you feel about marriage? She says, no, I believe in marriage and this. And I said, okay. So then he asked me, so when you met me, you liked me? And that's then when I really opened up to him. When I first met my husband, I was like in love. I had never felt like that before. You know, people say love at first sight. It was like that. And it wasn't like an infatuation. I was just so intrigued by him, his energy, where I was like, I cannot leave this place without getting to know him. Like, I got to get to know him. So that's what that was. But still, I stuck by my guidelines, you know, when we talked about things before. He said, I don't know how I feel about marriage. Okay. And I kept it moving. So later he asked me, well, why didn't you try to talk about dating before? And I said, because I thought you were a non-committer. If my purpose of dating is to get married and you don't believe in commitment, why would I stick around? When you mentioned the whole, how you say it? I am Roku.
I'm Roku. Yeah, I'm Roku. You talking about my man?
And Nia Long.
Yeah, man.
You know, that's them. But for me, I'm not engaged to nobody for no 10 years. What you talking about? I'm not dating nobody for 14 years. I'm not doing that. Period. That's why I had that conversation on day number 1. To see what your thought is and if we are aligned, and then we go from there. Because I truly believe there's a purpose for you that God has birthed you with. There's a purpose for your spouse that God has birthed him with, and there's a purpose that God has made for you to do with your spouse in the realms of your marriage. So when we're talking about Tabitha Brown and her husband, Chance, there's a purpose that God has for their marriage. So when she said she's retiring her husband, I felt that. I felt that deep in my spirit. This woman is aligned. Her husband is aligned. And they're at that pivotal point where they're able to go ahead and move forward into that season. And I think that's a wonderful thing when you come to that point.
Absolutely. I found the video too. Of her talking about it. I mean, the video is kind of long, so I'm gonna cut it short. But I'm going to get to the part where she's kind of like wrapping up, you know, the fact that she's retiring her husband. I mean, again, we talking about Tabitha Brown. For y'all that don't know, she got started on Facebook with her vegan meals, man, and it just went from there. She had a beautiful personality. Do feel it can change down the line in the relationship? Do feel what can change? Sean, give me some clarity on that question if you can. And I appreciate the question. Do you understand what she mean by that, Berica? Maybe you can answer.
What part, Sean, about it can change down the line?
Right.
What do you mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought the video, for y'all that haven't seen the video before, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna do I'm gonna copy it. I'm gonna copy the link and put it in chat. Brown video.
Also, when you talk about the backstory, Tabitha Brown, with her getting her start on YouTube, so her and her husband have been together. It's turning 20 years this year.
Been a while. Yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah.
And they have 2 beautiful children.
Mm-hmm.
So her husband was the breadwinner the entire time.
Yep.
He worked in LA as a police officer.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what he did. He chose that particular job because it would afford their family to be able to take care of the finances they need to take care of, get the benefits that they need to have. And also it would give Tabitha the ability to be able to hone her craft. So she could focus on the things that she needed to do and growing with her purpose as far as her establishing her businesses and her brand. So her husband was fully supportive of her getting her start, which she did on YouTube. And after that, things started to take off for her.
Yep. And then, is she like, now she's like doing some acting, she's writing, you know what I'm saying? She's I think is she a part of the Food Network now?
I don't know Food Network. I know she has a deal with Target and some other places as well.
Yep,
she has a huge platform on TikTok. I think she has 4 million followers on there.
Yeah, she's huge.
And popularly called like America's Mom. But people just absolutely just adore her. I know she's done her acting, like she was on The Chi.
Yep.
And some other things. So yeah, like to me, like when she announced that she was retiring her husband, I thought that was a beautiful thing. When you grow with a person like that and you get to the sweetness of that season, right?
Yeah.
You know, people are so quick to talk about like the love languages, right?
Yeah.
But also outside of the book about the love languages, there's a really good book my husband and I read about the 4 seasons of marriage. And so people, I think, often don't really look into that. And so when you're married, you go through different seasons. You may go through spring, a consistent spring for 5 years, where things are starting to bud, but you haven't really reaped the harvest yet, right? Some people may go through a winter for 2 or 3 years, right? Yeah. I know, like for my husband and I during the COVID season, it was winter for us for 2 years because of me working as, in healthcare as a first responder, working on a COVID floor, 13-hour days. We lost a significant amount of family members in the last 2 years. At the height of the pandemic, we lost 6 people within 30 days. My husband's father being the first. So it was tragic on so many levels, right? And then because of me working in first response, specifically when there's pandemics, I'm not allowed to leave the state, like for, like recreational travel or anything like that. When we are any type of state of emergency, I have to stay wherever I'm at so that whenever I am deployed, I am on the grounds helping in whatever capacity I need to help in, right? So that meant that I could not attend my father-in-law's services, or my husband's aunt, or my husband's cousin, or my 2 uncles, or my friend. It was so many people that we lost, and we weren't able to physically be there either. So it was winter for 2 years straight. It was hard. I mean, but by the grace of God, you know what I mean? Like we stuck together, we loved each other out, we rocked each other through, we gave each other grace, and we pushed through it. And so now we're back into our summer season, right? I mean, so things happen, but for Tabitha and her husband, it's a beautiful thing, especially for Black folks, Black love, and being able to see them reaping their harvest now. All of those seeds that were sown. When people think about a person's business thriving, people are often very literal. They don't think about the spiritual aspect of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And how often, as human beings, we can work so hard to make something work, but if God's hand isn't in the works, it ain't gonna be blessed. It's not gonna happen.
Right.
And so with Tabitha, you see the physical manifestation of prayers, dreams, and those type of things hoped for, and God blessing it. So why not retire her husband? I don't think that that's any way of discrediting him or emasculating him. I think that's a way to uplift him and to really propel him into the purpose that God has designed for him, and that he's able to help in community as well.
Mm-hmm.
People thought when she said she was retiring him that he would no longer work. And that's not what he was saying.
And again, that's what I'm talking about. This language barrier understanding gap is getting ridiculous. It's like you can't use certain words because everybody misinterpret words now. You can't use, nobody know what certain words mean and where it came from. So when you say something that traditionally is understood across the board, with anyone, for some reason it's like, what do you mean by that? Like, yeah. Then when I say it, like, it's just what do you think I meant? You know what I mean? So it's one of those things. But I'm gonna play the portion of the video because I have it where she's talking and then she's going to ask him how he feels, and people will get a chance to see how he responded. I think his response was genuine, and I totally understood where he was coming from. So I'm about to go ahead and play this video, and we're gonna deep dive into it a little bit more. Then we're gonna wrap the show up. Okay.
Right? And God has blessed us. He has blessed me that I can retire my husband. Not 5 years, but 15. And honey, we're going to take it, okay? So today he is taking all of his things and turning it all in at LAPD. So it's bittersweet. And I'm grateful and I'm thankful. Oh, but I have been speaking this for quite some time. One day I'm going to retire my husband. And it has happened today. So, yeah, I want to talk to him before he leaves. He's a little emotional, right? He's trying to process it all. It has taken him a year to make this decision, but he has made it. And I'm so proud of him. But I'm so excited for him to do some of the things he's always loved to do, but has never really had the courage to do because of fear of, no, baby, somebody got to have a steady check coming in this house, right? And now I got a steady one, okay, that can provide for both of us, our entire family. And so my husband loves music. He loves children. He loves basketball. So I want him to dream bigger and figure out whatever his path is, honey. And if it take him 15 years to figure it out, he got time. So anyway, let's talk to him real quick before he leaves. All right, babe. It's about to go down. 15 years. Come to this day.
Mm-hmm.
It's bittersweet.
Yeah. Bittersweet.
How you feeling?
A little conflicted. It's part of my identity. It's been the thing that is taking care of my family. It's been the thing that has gained, much respect within my family when it comes to me. And to be quite honest, I didn't know how much of my identity was involved in it. However, good that I'm able to make it this long and learn something, not have any major incidents, and be in a situation where I can walk away in my right mind and without harm. So I'm thankful for God's blessing. It was it was one of my seasons, but looking forward to the next.
Yeah, time to start dreaming again, ain't it?
Yeah. Start looking for a new chance.
All right. So that's the video. I just wanted to get a portion of that. Let's go back real quick. Sean clarify what she meant, and then we're gonna talk about the video. Sean said, "I mean, when you met your mate and knowing that Jordan decided that she didn't want kids, but after dating and being in a relationship for how many years or whatever, can you change your mind?" So you're talking about someone changing their mind, like
Okay.
along the way. Again, I think that's related to the whole thing about, well, let me still stick around with the person, even though, like you said, if a person didn't want to have kids, that was your red flag. That was your check please moment, right? Like, so everybody have their own standards. And so if you decide to still stick around and date the person, even though they don't want kids or whatever else your standard might be, can you change your mind? I don't know what you mean. I mean, yeah, I could change my mind about anything, but I'm not going to wait for somebody else to change their mind about what it is that you already said was your standard. You see, and again, that's where compromising your standards is takes place. I don't know, Sean. I might need you to come on the panel and like really talk about this because you know what I'm saying? Because if if I date a person, or if I'm with someone and those standards are not, I mean, we have to be on the same page on something that is like my standard or like your standard, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. I can't wait for someone to be like, okay, I think I want, well, I think, what I'm saying, like I could, but at the same time, it's like, how long is that going to take? Like she said, if you've been in a relationship for however many years, can you change your mind? It's like, I don't know about that. What you think, B?
I think I understand what you're saying. I've seen that happen with people. That happened with one of my siblings. And that also happened with my parents. Well, initially the intention was, oh, we won't have kids, we'll do this and that together. But it was never like a hard no. It was just, oh no, we're not doing that. I don't think for them at that time, when I've talked to other people, they often don't think like me. When it comes to the hard no on the kids, the people who I know, male and female, who are the hard no on the kids, they don't end up changing their mind. Yeah. So that's one thing. But I know, like for my parents, like my dad said, with them it was like, oh, what are we doing? We're gonna get married. Let's go travel. Let's do this and that. Kids really don't kind of fit into that. So no, we're not really having kids. But I think in that time they were thinking for that time period, right? Not like we're not going to have kids permanently. So as time had progressed, years went on, my mother's clock's ticking, that kind of thing. They revisited that conversation.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh yeah, we can have some kids. And boom, here I go, right? So the same thing happened to my brother. You know what I'm saying? So it was the same type of situation. They weren't the hard no like me. That was like,
yeah.
At 5, I was like, no, I don't want no kids. I'm not even paying with no Barbie doll. Don't even give me that thing, because no, I ain't doing that. And then as I got older, oh no. And then the older I got, really like, no, I don't want no kids. That was just me. Right. I thought that I would be a part of a village and helping to raise kids, which I have done. I've had relatives, kids live with me for lengthy periods of time. I legally went to court and got physical custody of the 2 children and had them for a year. So, I mean, I've done those things, you know what I mean? So I didn't mind doing that to help as far as being part of that village. But for me, I didn't feel the need to have to birth them. That just wasn't my walk.
You didn't want to
Right.
birth, but you
So,
wanted.
I mean, I used to see situations where people do change their mind, but I think a lot of it has to do with intention, right? So for me, my issue with one of the females I was talking about who was saying, you shouldn't tell a guy that on the first date. It was like she was trying to be slick, like she was trying to be sneaky, like, well, you just shouldn't tell him that and make him like you, and then you'll lead him on kind of thing, and then you're gonna try to get him to change his mind. And to me, that's one thing I'm not about to do with no grown man.
Mm-hmm.
Is I'm not in the business of trying to change a grown person and persuade them to change their purpose for their life and what they want for their life. Like, that's crazy out of my own selfish desire. To me, that's super selfish. Like, no, you get with somebody that just rock with you.
Mm-hmm.
And people always told me, oh, you shouldn't tell a guy that because you're not going to get married. Really?
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get married.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody guy's going to marry a woman who doesn't want to have kids. For real?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I don't listen to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Because when it comes to stuff like that, like I said, what God got for your life, it's for you. It's not for somebody else to understand. What you do, it might not be somebody else's walk. It may be completely unconventional, but that's the specific purpose that God gave for you. Walk into that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're supposed to have a spouse, God is going to provide that for you.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all going to be aligned. And it's not going to make sense to other people.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of stuff about my own marriage doesn't make sense for other people. I mentioned that to you yesterday. And I will be doing some content on that.
Mm-hmm.
It was a situation when we had Hurricane Harvey here.
Mm-hmm.
Everything about my marriage has been blessed from the start. And I wanted to make sure that it stayed that way, right? So covering my husband in prayer, covering our household in prayer, me and my husband, me praying individually, him praying, meditating, all those things, right? So we knew it was time, like a season for us to get a home. We didn't know what that was going to look like, but we were standing in faith and walking in that, right? Doing all the checks and balances that we were supposed to do on our end and sitting back for God to do the rest, right? Okay, so we got blessed. We had a brand new house, got our house built. It's beautiful. It works for us, right? And everything about the house was a blessing. Everything about it had a calling on it. And so when we knew Harvey was coming and we were getting ready to vacate, we prayed over our house, we blessed our house, we anointed the house. And I told my husband and my mother-in-law, this is a sign. If we come back to this house and nothing has happened, because Hurricane Harvey was crazy down here.
Oh, yeah.
You had 51 inches of rain within 3 days.
Yeah, that was nuts.
That's the amount of rain we get in a year. That happened in 3 days. In addition to the fact, we had 3 tornadoes. It was toe up down here. So places in Houston that were never flooded were flooded. So we didn't know what we were coming home to. Our security cameras were out. We couldn't see it clearly. So, we really kind of had you worried, like, what is going on? I'm checking in with my neighbors, like, have you seen my house? Does it look like things are okay? You see any damage? And, whatever. So finally getting back home, and I told my husband before we had even left, we go and come back home and nothing is wrong with our house. It is a sign that we are supposed to open our home to anybody in need. I don't care who it is. And my husband and I prayed over it, and he was like, that's the word, and that's what we're going to do. Now, that sounds crazy. You got a brand new house, and you're going to open up your house to a total stranger? Yeah, most people wouldn't do that, right? So we couldn't tell people that's what we were doing. But we have our section of people who we can go to who are spiritually aligned with us, who prayed with us as well. And that's what we did. We came home, and literally I took a picture of what my house looked like because I literally had dirt in front of my doorpost. My house never lost power. So the food in my freezer never went bad because I had literally just gone grocery shopping. Like all those different things, it was a sign. So as soon as we got home, we didn't even unpack our bags. We started calling and said, does anybody in our community, because we volunteer a lot, so does anybody in our community need a place to stay? Do you know anybody who's displaced? And we got a call saying, oh, there's a guy, he's going, he's going through a lot. He's got cancer real bad. And his house got completely flooded. Some people literally went in his house and got him out of there. Otherwise he would have drowned. And we brought him to our home, and that man lived with us. And we thought we were blessing him, but that man ended up blessing us. So that's what I mean when I say about being spiritually aligned, and what doesn't look conventional to somebody else, but you know what God has for you and your spouse. My husband and I took that we took that path, and how we were able to give back and help someone else in their time of need. Here's Tabitha doing it with her husband. And how they're able to expand their brand and their business because they walked that path. They stayed that course. They were obedient to what God had for them. And look at look at the blessings they have now. She got her stuff at Target. She's got her clothes in there. She's got her cooking stuff that she's doing. She's got her vegan restaurants. Like, she's out here doing it. And her husband, when people thinking he's retiring, he's not working anymore, that's not true. He has this nonprofit organization, and he's doing an outreach for children, specifically for young boys, fatherless boys. And we have so many problems with fatherlessness in this country, especially with Black and brown kids. What better way for him, as a man of God, as a husband, as a father, as a community leader, to step aside from that job that potentially could risk his life at any moment? Because life is hard being a police officer. But now he's able to walk in that purpose and being able to be a father, or uncle, a mentor to these kids who don't have that.
Right.
He's able to help people in droves. And it's a beautiful thing. I think when she came out and said that, it wasn't a time for people to be analytical of her. It was a time for people to really hear her out, not literally listening to the words coming out of her mouth, but understanding the message that she was conveying.
She the video was interesting to me too, because like she started off, it was supposed to be a 5-year thing, she said, and then ended up being 15. But his response, like I said, because no one could understand where she was coming from when she said, because she used the word retire. So that one word, just like, I ain't retiring no grown man. I ain't taking care of no grown man. See that again, the there's a gap, man, and it's so huge, and we need to really find ways to bridge it. Because Miss Wendy Williams tried to come for her, and it's like, then Tabitha responded like, you don't know what love is. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't understand what this is over here, right? You like to live in toxicity. You don't understand what pure love is because you're so toxic. And I remember one time we did we did our show, Mailroom show. I forgot what episode it was, but I mentioned something about you can live and you can live and stink for so long to the point where it don't even stink no more. And that's where it gets even more dangerous. Is that you can't even recognize the toxicity around you. That's how toxic you have become. So this is the testament of, like he said, that when he said he was conflicted, that was his manhood. That's the that's the thing he wants to provide for his family. And it's more than just the money aspect, but that is a part of what makes us a man, and what's a part of our manhood is doing that, and this is what we naturally are. And sometimes it gets misinterpreted because people think that, oh, he's just trying to usurp tyrannical control over his family. And it's like, nah, it's just a man trying to do what he's supposed to do for his family. He is responsible for you. So for my wife, in his case, to come to me and say, 15 years ago, hey, just do this for 5 years and I'm gonna take care of it. And he like, you ain't even gotta do all that because I like to provide for us anyway. We good. I've been doing it this long, it's all good. But then he believed in her, of course. He supported her and throughout it all. Because even in some of her early videos on Facebook, you would see him in the background, kind of like helping with the little like being a little sous chef or something, you know what I'm saying? Like chopping up vegetables and stuff, whatever, And so but they no one complained, right? That's the thing. No one complained. They didn't argue with each other. Like, I thought you said 5 years. Like he didn't come at it like that. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. It's gonna happen when it's gonna happen, right? And then it finally happened, and he like, dang. And she said it took him a year. It ain't like he was being no, okay, you retired. Okay, cool. I'm just gonna just stop working then right now. I'm gonna quit today. Like, no, she said it took him a whole year to decide to do this, right? Because even though she said, hey, you can retire if you want to, she still gave him room to be like, well, let me make that decision because I'm conflicted with that. I don't know how to not work. I don't know how to not provide. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever. Then when he come to a point where it's like, okay, he's at peace with it, then that's how you know, like that's how you know to make that decision. My Pop, shout out to Park Stewart. He always told me, he said, Tay, you never leave a situation uh agitated or upset or whatever. He's like, you always leave with peace. Like, as long as you got peace in your spirit about the decision you're gonna make, then go ahead and make that decision. So I did that. Like he told me that like years ago. And while I was married at the time. And then I remember when I was approaching separation and headed towards divorce in 2015. I remember saying those words to my ex-wife. It was like the last words I said was like, I'm at peace with this, man. I love you enough to let you go. And it got quiet on the phone when I said it. I was like, get the papers. I will sign them whenever you want me to. I will meet wherever you're at. I'm at peace. Good. You ain't got to worry about me. I'm straight. And I said it with peace. It was so much peace that came over me to the point where I had tears in my eyes. I was like, man, I didn't even know I could have this much peace. And at the same time, I'm losing, but I'm really gaining here. And so everybody's path is different. You know what I'm saying? And this whole thing about her, retiring her husband, that's their path. Like you said, I agree with that. That's their path. And this is a wife and husband relationship. This ain't no girlfriend, boyfriend, baby, you ain't gotta work. I'm gonna take care of us as long as you with me, we gonna be good and all that. Like toxic little things. It's like, nah, that's not how you do that. She did it the right way. You know what I'm saying? It's like, man, hey, I'm contribute too. And then again, like I talked to you, I think it was last night's conversation or the other day when I said that we don't talk about the virtuous woman often. We always talk about traditional women, but we don't talk about Proverbs 31 woman and who that woman is. The virtuous woman. Oh, I'm gonna deep dive on that. I'm gonna definitely deep dive on that because this is an example of a virtuous woman. She's an example of this. She's a living example of what a virtuous woman looks like. You know what I'm saying? And because there is a level of independence identity that a wife still has, even though she's married to her husband. And then in the virtuous woman, she was married to the king. Lemuel, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna talk about that another time. But I think that this video kind of like really personifies the way to do things properly. You know what I'm saying? She did not force him to retire. She still left it up to him to do it. He took his time. He was conflicted. He was honest with himself, but they were still happy. They wasn't complaining. They wasn't bickering with each other all the time about, all that kind of stuff. Like, because she gave the whole, in the video, y'all will see it. If y'all click the link, I put the top of the Brown video in the chat. If you click that link and look at that video, she gives you the whole rundown. They only had a little bit of money when they moved from wherever they was at to LA. He got the job being the LAPD officer, especially back then.
Mm-hmm.
At that time it was really crazy because
Mm-hmm.
the LAPD was on some
Mm-hmm.
corruption was going on, killings and
Mm-hmm.
gang-related violence and all that kind of stuff. And he never had any type of issues, never been shot, none of that kind of stuff, never had to go through any of that. So it was like, it was a blessing, you know what I'm saying, in disguise. And then eventually when he got to the point where he's like, okay, I'm gonna do this, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna definitely go ahead and start dreaming again and doing my thing, man,
Mm-hmm.
and they're doing it. And so again, this is an example. See, we don't have a lot of examples like this in our society because we highlight everything that's toxic.
Mm-hmm.
And we never talk about things that are done the right way,
Mm-hmm.
even if, because things can be done the right way, even if it doesn't feel good.
Mm-hmm.
It's right though.
Mm-hmm.
It's right. It's the right thing. It's the right thing to do. It's the right way to do it. There's an absolute truth to things. And once we understand that, I think that we won't have all these, things, because I mean, again, women was tearing Tabitha Brown. They was tearing her up. Like, I mean, and then the Wendy Williams followers and I mean, again, these are a group of women who are just, you don't understand what this lady is talking about. And then you only get the clips and stuff. So you don't get the whole thing. You like, oh, that's what it was. Again, because we don't want to really, we just want to categorize and label people, and that's it. Instead of really giving people a chance and showing and letting them show you that, hey, if you do this the right way, the proper way, you'll get some results. You know what I'm saying? So I want to shout out Tabitha Brown again for just being that virtuous woman, and that being that example on a large scale of saying, hey, just because I retired my husband doesn't mean that he's doing what I want him to do. You know what I'm saying? I'm giving him room to make whatever decision he wants, but he doesn't have to go out there. And plus, she want her husband to come home at night in one piece. He was a police officer in one of the most gang-related cities in the world, right? And so that man was out there, risking his life on a daily basis. You know what I'm saying? And you never know what type of case he was involved in or whatever, because sometimes these guys that's gang related, they got people that on the streets like, yo, this man lives at such and such house, address, shoot up his crib, man. He don't all kind of stuff could have happened. She like, man, I'm getting him out of there. You know what I'm saying? But he still was doing what he wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's like she still gave him room to think about it for himself. And that's the respect. That's what I'm talking about. That's how men equate love. That respect is so needed for us. That's how we look. Shout out to Cinderella and all them, right? Shout out to Sleeping Beauty and Beauty and the Beast and all these, but that ain't how men. We don't care about the fantasized version of love. We care about it from a certain standpoint. And I'm pretty sure your husband is like, okay, y'all don't want to quarrel because you give him respect. If you was being disrespectful to the man, he like, yo, no. Your approach is everything. Your presentation, the way you interact with your husband, spouse, or even if those of you out there that's in serious relationships, that respect is important for both. The man respect the woman respect the man. No one is forcing anybody to do anything. No one is putting unrealistic expectations on each other. No, we're gonna keep it real. You know what I'm saying? So I enjoyed this topic. I think that this is a clear, beautiful example of two people who are married who understand how to do things properly and how to have God involved, which is the only way that you can really have some success, man. So, all right. So, how you enjoy the show? B, you like the show? You enjoy the show?
That was it.
Good, cool.
As usual.
Any last words before we go?
Yeah, when you talked about having peace, eating amidst a divorce,
Yeah.
that's nothing but God.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Straight up.
God is the only person that can give you peace
Straight up.
in the middle of chaos,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, God is the beginning and the end, right? I mean, He is the author and the finisher, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like of our faith, of our life, all those things. I think so often people look at the physical aspect of marriage and they forget the spiritual part of it.
Yep. Yep.
And that's the reason why Tabitha Brown was able to do what she did
Mhm.
with her husband. His level of conflict was because that was the flesh part of him. That
Yep.
was the
Right.
manly side of him, right? But
Yeah.
the spirit man of him knew exactly what was going on.
Mhm.
This is our season. This is our harvest. We
Mhm.
have come into that season. And it's not about ego and, oh, who makes the most money?
Yep.
We make the most money,
Mhm.
period.
Yep.
Because we're in this together, right? So, I mean, for 15 years, he worked LAPD. Okay, so the time before that, he was still working and providing for his household.
Mhm.
Had he not worked those jobs to make the certain amount of money, they wouldn't have had the money to invest into the brand,
Absolutely.
into the businesses. So we
Mhm.
see the physical part of the brand and businesses, which is Tabitha doing her thing.
Right.
But there's a behind the scenes thing that is going on there, right?
Sure.
So him working that job allowed the opportunity for her to build that.
Mhm.
We live in a society where people love running with that. I'm self-made. I'm self-made. I can't stand that term
Mhm.
because we are meant to live life in community.
Mhm.
We are not created and built to live life alone like that. And
Right.
it's when people say that I'm self-made, that is from an egotistical standpoint,
Yeah.
right? I understand if you say self-made in the terms of, okay, you started a business and that's how you're able to make your money, and not that you worked for another corporation and they paid you a salary, right? Okay, I get that. But nowadays, there's an error about that. There's an arrogance that comes with that. Oh, I'm self-made. I'm self-made. Oh, I'm independent. I'm independent. You still had to rely on someone else's products to get
Yeah.
out your product. You had to rely on a publishing company. You had to rely on a printer. You had to have a secretary, or
Mhm.
you may have had the legal department of that organization in order to get your stuff done. You had to go to your attorney to go get your LLC and everything is written out, right?
Mhm.
There's still you having to contact other people.
Right.
You didn't literally sit by yourself with nobody else involved
Right.
to get this stuff done. At some point in time, you had to contact somebody else
Right.
in order for your business to thrive. And ultimately, the talent that you hone, the skill set that you hone, still ain't your skill set and your talent. It was given to you by God. So
Mhm.
still, it's not you doing all of this by yourself.
Right.
So I really think that people really have to understand like there is strength in
Mhm.
humility. We don't
Mhm.
have to walk around being arrogant and all that. You can know you that girl and that you're doing great or whatever,
Mhm.
but that's not what life is about, right?
Yeah.
When you come into that favor, it's also on you too to reach back out and help others. Not walk around and have your nose up at other people. Oh, I made it, and look down on other people. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
don't forget where you come from. And you
Mhm.
don't forget the people who were there for you, who invested into you, who invested and poured into your business to make it what it is. And that's all that Tabitha was doing, was showing loyalty by
Mhm.
returning the favor for the same man
Mhm.
that held her. I don't say hold her down because he didn't hold her down. He held her up
Mhm. Yeah.
because he didn't hold her back at all.
Mm.
Right? He
Yeah.
created that environment where she didn't have to worry about how we gonna eat, how we
Yeah.
gonna pay the bills. She was
Mhm.
able to solely focus on her purpose in building that brand.
Mhm.
And that just shows how powerful that he is of a man. Because sometimes people can get caught in their ego. I want to be the one in the front of the camera. I want to be at the
Yeah.
center of the limelight.
Yeah.
But it's not about that.
Right.
It's not about that. what works best for your household? What works for the greater good of community? And what is the purpose that God has aligned for you? If that all fits together, why are you going against the tide? Because think about it on the flip side. If he was egotistical, if he was arrogant and truly unsure of himself as a man, and he wasn't a spiritual head, his attitude could have been, well, I'm not going to help you invest in your business. I'm just going to work this cop. I'm going to work this job as a cop, and we're just going to do this and that. Y'all wouldn't even be living in the house y'all living in now.
Right.
Because your salary kept as a police officer.
Mm-hmm.
You're not bringing in 7-figure checks. You're not getting these type of sponsorships and deals as a police officer. But that brand that she has does. So at the end of the day, I think what people missed in that message that she said that was the most important. And she said, we got a check. We got a contract. We got a sponsorship. We got a deal. So now we're in a position where I can retire my husband. That's what it's about.
Together.
When we say the ministry for your marriage, the purpose for your marriage, the mission for your marriage, when we saying a person understanding their assignment, that's what that was. It ain't about, oh, I got money now. We can't keep doing that.
But LTD, love, togetherness, and devotion.
I was listening to that last week.
What you know about it?
I literally was.
Jerry Osborne, that's my
guy.
Oh man, yeah.
I follow him on Instagram, and he was singing at a concert, and it popped up on my.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, on my phone. I was like, oh, yes, that's a song. But yeah, I think people don't think about in relationships and marriage how you have to weather the storms. It's gonna be the ups and downs. It's gonna be times where the woman may make more money than the man. Does that mean he's less than? No. And if you're gonna leave your man just because all of a sudden you got a raise and you making more than him, you a clown.
Yeah, for sure. Yo, I totally agree with all that right there. All of that. Real talk. This is let you know, like, let God lead you on who you choose to spend the rest of your life with, and then just expect for God to bless it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and not to knock, Wendy, because she going through a lot herself, Wendy, but
yeah, but see, that's the thing.
She was out of turn talking about it because it's like, girl,
you reap the very things that you sow. So, Wendy, man, she been cutting up for years, man, and and this, we all have our seasons. We have our seasons of reaping too, and this is just her season to reap. But at the same time, we don't wish ill on nobody, but it's like, you again, like I always say, whatever you choose to do is your choice.
Yeah,
but don't complain about the consequences that come with the choice you made.
Yeah,
because again, it starts there. It starts with your choice. And you choose the stuff that you're interested in, that you find value in. That's the stuff you choose. And so, that's the thing. So she chose violence. She chose gossip. She chose these things. And now, you don't hear nothing from her. Right. And that's for a good reason, because you need to be quiet. You need to learn life all over again. And you're never too old to learn life all over again. You know what I'm saying? So that's it. But I had a great show with you. Thank you again, Barrett, for coming on Coffee Conversation. I think you like Coffee and Conversation. I think you like the show. It's a little bit more.
I do.
It's a little bit more chill. You know what I'm saying? So, I appreciate you coming in. And thank you. And shout out to Kelly Lee. Shout out to Her Village Weights.
Yes.
So let us know when you are on live and stuff like that. We'll definitely post it for you and stuff like that, man. And,
so it's Her Village Voice Podcast. We are on YouTube, we are on Instagram, and Twitter and Facebook. Most of the content is posted on Instagram and YouTube, but we will be going live today. So check us out. We'll be posting a link and everything on Instagram as well to direct you to the channel on YouTube. Okay. So we're gonna have a hot topic coming in. I won't give it away yet, but ladies, it's good. So it's real good, ladies. So come on down.
Yo, hey, We appreciate it, yo. We're gonna definitely tune in today. So when you post on Instagram, I'll be following you. So you're all right. I'm gonna post it, repost it for you, stuff like that too. So, all right.
Yeah.
Well, hey, all my coffee beans, thank you so much for tuning in to Coffee Conversation. We appreciate you. And next week, we're going to talk about some more stuff. We going to deep dive into some more stuff. I ain't going to give it away either. I'm going to let you come on back and tune in with your boy. But until then, while you're doing that, enjoy yourself, enjoy your family, enjoy your day. Enjoy you some more coffee, man, if you got some. And at the end of the day, it's all about love, togetherness, and devotion. All right? Until next time, keep your coffee and your conversations growing. I'll let you. Peace.